Watching David Bailey just dominate training camp, it finally got to him. He got
Yeah.
too sick, and he had to go to urgent care.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe I heard reports that he was sneaking into the Quest Diagnostics Training Center to watch some Marvell Reese today in the joint practice. I don't know. Is he really sick? We'll figure that out soon, Jake.
Is Breece Hall really hurt, Connor? You were there. Describe the play as someone
Yeah.
who got an eyewitness report on Breece going down. It's first reported as a non-contact injury, and we're all thinking the worst.
Mhm.
You're there. Take us through what you saw with Breece Hall.
Yeah, so normal 11 on 11s. The Jets are past the 50-yard line, working towards scoring a touchdown. Gino dumps the ball off to Breece, a nice little catch and run there, and then he just like collapses, goes to the ground, wincing in pain. Just the sideline of reporters, really everyone in general. Of course, the mind goes to the worst when it's the Jets, when it's Breece Hall, a star running back who was just given a lucrative extension earlier on this offseason. So the good news is it's a groin. It's something that shouldn't hinder him long term. He should be back out there soon. I don't know if we see him for the remainder of the preseason, but at the very least, it doesn't go Achilles or anything of that nature. It's a groin issue that Aaron Glenn, as he told us following practice, there's going to be further imaging done on that and further evaluation on Hall. So a scary sight at first, just because it was a non-contact injury after a catch and run, but he kind of stayed on the ground for a little bit. Training staff helped him up, walked under his own power while he was still in pain, went under one of the tents, kind of assessed him a little bit. Then we didn't see much more Breece Hall for the rest of the day out on the field.
So Aaron Glenn said afterwards they don't think it's serious, but he's going to get imaging. With respect to Aaron Glenn, he's not a doctor. So let's see what
Yeah.
the imaging reveals. The good news for the Jets is that it's still about 4 weeks away, almost a little less than that, before their first game. So if it's a minor situation here with the strained groin, he should be ready to roll for September 13th against the Titans. You know, that said, not ideal. I doubt we see Breece Hall in any of the final 2 preseason games.
I mean, why would you rush him back, right, Jake? Like, this is someone who's a prized possession, and I understand the Jets are trying to get their starters in action and work them back in. But I think right now, at least the hope within the Jets building is to try to get him ready for week 1, make sure he is ready to start the season when it actually matters, when wins and losses are counted. So, look, I was intrigued to see what Breece looked like throughout the summer, post-extension, see how they kind of worked him into the offense with Frank Reich. I know we saw a lot of Braylon Allen on Friday night against the Giants. Now, though, it's really up to the depth options in this RB room, some of which, in my eyes at least, flashed today. So we can talk about that a little later on. But I was just overall pleased with what I saw from the running back room and guys that stepped up behind Breece Hall today.
Break down some of these other injuries. Unfortunately, I saw that our guy Mo Bamba, he's going to miss potentially a couple of weeks. What happened there?
Yeah, so practice starts. The way the Jets have it set up is that all the guys are stretching, kind of warming up on the main field. They kind of split offense, defense to begin. They come together. Then there's like a little rehab area in the corner. Maury Bamba was one of the players in that rehab area. Quantez Stiggers, who passed out, I believe it was, during the joint practice. So an initial scare there, but he's going to be okay. He was among others in that group. So yeah, it seems to be a knee issue. I don't know when it was sustained, right, Jake? Because we know he went into the tent during the game, but that wasn't, at least to what I remember, a knee issue. It was more so a concussion protocol type thing. So we don't know when this happened to Maury Bamba. Aaron Glenn didn't provide necessarily further detail regarding when it occurred. I look at this as a situation, though, Jake, where Maury Bamba could be one of the 2 guys the Jets keep on short-term IR to begin the season. So they keep him under team control. They don't have to make a decision until week 4, I believe it is. So he doesn't count towards the 53-man roster, but you still have him under control, and you don't risk losing him for nothing, frankly, on cut-down day or around then with the waiver wire. So with this injury expected to miss the remainder of the preseason, I feel like that is the route, if I had to make a prediction, the Jets are going to take with Maury Bamba.
And then the other injury is not an injury, it's an illness. Garrett Wilson was puking his guts out, apparently. So hopefully he feels better. I mean, Garrett feels how many Jet fans have felt watching this team the last 15 years, but that's why Garrett wasn't there. And it sounds like it was a veteran rest day for both Demario Davis and for Minka Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like for DeMario. Minka, those guys had vet rest days. We didn't see them initially in the drills. Minka could have been out there, but I didn't see him. DeMario, I saw he came out later towards practice in his jersey holding his helmet. So all good on that front. That's the positive element of it. And then Kenyon Sadiq had been out there these past few practices, wasn't participating today though, but as I noted, out holding his helmet in his uniform, kind of watching the 11-on-11 period as everything unfolded. So at least a step in the right direction for Sadiq on that front.
If you want positive news, you saw T'Vondre Sweat starting to ramp up.
Yes.
He's been taken off the non-football injury list. What did you see from big number 99? You certainly can't miss him.
Yeah, no, he didn't particularly stand out in team drills, as Glenn told us following practice today. He's going to be on a quote-unquote pitch count as he continues to work his way back. Look, Sweat is, I think, the guy everyone should be watching for the remainder of the preseason if we see him there, the remainder of training camp. We all know guys of that stature, these big-bodied players, like Sweat, who's listed 6'4", 366 pounds, if their weight can get a little out of control, and there had been some reports that T'Vondre's weight climbed near 400 pounds with the Titans. If things get out of control on that front, they become hard to play. They're more subject to injuries, which then take longer to recover from. I mean, Jets fans all know what happened with Mekhi Becton, of course, and the disaster that unfolded there. So this is a prime opportunity for Sweat to kind of work his way back to action, ramp up, get conditioned, get ready to go for week 1, which is not only an integral game for this franchise, as well documented by your opinion, Jake, but also for himself as he returns to play the team that drafted him, the Tennessee Titans.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. We're talking with Connor Long, who was at Jets camp today. What actually stood out on the field, Connor? Geno Smith was out there, but I saw Rich Cimini tweet out that he looked a little gingerly, or was walking a little gingerly, limping a little bit when he was out there dealing with this ankle. I know he was wearing the compression sleeve on the leg. What did you see from the Jets QB1?
Yeah, so Geno came out. The first thing we kind of noticed is he had a sleeve on his lower left leg. Nothing in particular that really stood out to me. A couple nice balls here or there. I thought Mason Taylor made a nice play. Geno found him open right near the goal line, tossed it in his direction. Taylor held on through a push from a defender right behind. So I thought that was a nice little rep there. Nothing in particular. To be honest with you, there was no star of the day or someone who really stole the show, like a David Bailey 3-sack performance or a monster day from Geno. I thought Klubnik looked good. I thought he looked poised. We saw him scramble and do some stuff with his legs a few times. So I just found that interesting, him kind of evading pressure and adding that element to the game. I think is going to be important for him on top of his gunslinging ability and utilizing his arm downfield, which is obviously important, played a huge role in his success at Clemson 2 years ago. I thought the running back depth stuck out to me, as I briefly mentioned there earlier on, Jake. Sam Scott, someone undrafted out of undrafted out of Wyoming, didn't particularly stand out in the preseason game. He kind of went a little unnoticed. Number 25, I mean, I look up and he was making nice run after nice run. Braylon Allen ripped off a few nice ones, but with guys like Chip Trynum and Sam Scott, the running back room's so competitive, having 4 locks there. They're not going to carry a 5th. That would be utterly ridiculous if they did. So I think those 2 guys are competing for practice squad spots. But hey, it's always good to see some of these UDFAs step up. And maybe if you need Sam Scott to come on your active roster for 2 games, he could be the RB4.
Oh, God, Sam Scott having to play main games for the Jets. That is not what you want to hear. Hit the like button if you're just joining us. Connor Long from JetX is our guest. Ladies and gentlemen, shout out to Frank P., who says, I just received the Chad Pennington helmet, Jake. Thank you, Frank P., a frequent contributor to the program, has won a bunch of prizes, including the other day, a signed Chad Pennington helmet. Frank, you're the man. The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyon Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to, and check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today. Strong start with the membership, so appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Bill M says, Jake, go get BT off the ledge. He thinks Breece will miss the first 2 regular season games at least. I'm going to withhold judgment on Breece Hall's status until we get the official diagnosis from the imaging. Glenn could say they don't think it's serious. He's not a doctor. So time will tell. He said the Pons injury wasn't that serious either. He's yet to practice coming off this calf injury he suffered. So I just want to see Breece back practicing before I say one way or another he's going to play week 1 or not. I do think he'll be out there, but so I won't go as crazy as BT if Brandon thinks he's going to miss the first 2 weeks. I don't know what that's based on. I didn't see a show today, but I'm not going to jump off the ledge. I'm also not going to say Breece is fine until we get actual medical diagnosis on this groin.
I think that's the right way to look at it, right? And I mean, things flare up, right? And it's not AG's fault, right? Like, he's just telling the media what he is hearing, what he's getting at that time. But like, look at the Kenyon Sadiq situation, for example, right? Jake, earlier on in the offseason, the spring, it was told, okay, this is a procedure that's going to be done just to get ahead of it, be cautious. And then he had a rest day or something of that nature. And then we find out the next day that there was a setback, and they're quote unquote confident he will be ready for week 1. So look, especially when you talk about something with a groin that is so important for a running back, just explosiveness, speed, everything of that nature. We don't know what's going to happen. I think the next few days as those go on, we'll have more info once Breece gets that imaging done. But at first glance, at least, you could say the update from AG is promising.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question related to anything from training camp today, write it in and we will make sure we bring it up on the screen. Obviously, super chats will cut the line. I have a report here from Rich Cimini breaking down today's events. I'll play it, and Connor, you can confirm or deny if what Rich is saying here actually occurred.
Some big injury news on Monday. Hey, everybody, it's Rich here at the Jets in Florham Park. The Jets resumed training camp on Monday, and unfortunately, Breece Hall goes down with a strained groin. That's what the Jets are calling it. I was actually not far away from where it happened. He was running with the ball toward the end zone on a kind of a swing pass, and he just went down untouched on the grass, reached immediately for his right upper leg, so we kind of had a sense it was going to be a groin injury. That's what they're calling it. He's going to go for MRI testing. Aaron Glenn, not too alarmed. He says it doesn't seem like it's that big a deal. Of course, with these things, you just never know until you get the MRI results. So the Jets are going to keep their fingers crossed on that one. And other injury news, Garrett Wilson was not at practice today. Not an injury. He was sick, so nothing to be worried about there. And Geno Smith did practice. Now, of course, he did not play on Friday night. He was held out as a precaution, but he is definitely limping a little bit on that left ankle. He had a sleeve on his lower left leg. Watched him very closely in practice, and you could see he was favoring it a little bit, but he powered through the practice. He did not miss any reps. And so a lot of injury news. On the positive side, T'Vondre Sweat and Joseph Asai back at practice for the first time. So that was encouraging. But again, the big story of the day is Breece Hall, and he has a strained groin. I doubt you will see him in the preseason. I think everything now will be geared toward getting him ready for week 1.
So that's how Rich did it. How did Connor Long see it? Well, in addition to Connor being on the show right now, we have this.
Following Friday night's preseason opener, the New York Jets return to the training camp practice field today, Monday. Main storyline today isn't particularly anything noteworthy that happened play-wise. It's more so on the injury front. A legitimate scare with running back Breece Hall goes down untouched after receiving a pass from Geno Smith in the passing game. The good news, though, according to Aaron Glenn, who spoke to us following today's practice, just a groin issue, nothing severe. He'll get imaging on that. That'll be further evaluated. Beyond Breece, Maury Bamba dealing with a knee injury will miss a few weeks following his standout performance on Friday night. As it pertains to things that went down on the field, well, T'Vondre Sweat returned after beginning the summer on the non-football injury list. We'll monitor what happens with him as things ramp up these next few weeks and he gets ready to return to game shape. Right out here, One Jets Drive in Florham Park. I'm Connor Long for Jets X Factor.
Well done, Connor. That's a pro right there.
Thank you.
My only piece of advice is you're tall. I've met you in person. You're a big kid already. You got to get that camera a little closer to you so it looks like you're as tall as you are in person.
I was thinking the same. I looked like a dwarf or whatever we call it nowadays in that picture, that video rather there. Yeah, I'm 6 foot for those who didn't know. So yeah.
You wouldn't know based on that video.
You would not. No, definitely not.
On the air, Paul O'Brien writes in, "Don't trust Glenn if he told me good morning. I'd go straight to bed." Connor, do you trust Glenn if he told you good morning?
I would. I think he's gotten a lot better with the media. So yes, I would trust him. This year, at least. Now, I don't know about last year, but this year, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the latest with the Jets from the game now this past Friday night. Connor, you've had time to review it. You've had time to now digest it fully.
Yes.
What is the biggest takeaway from Jets Bucks Friday night?
My biggest takeaway is that the Jets QB2 for week 1 will either be Cade Klubnik or someone who is not on the team, Jake. That is safe to say. I thought Klubnik looked very solid in his minimal reps. As you and I have both amplified, it was puzzling as to why he came out of the game as early as he did. It would have been much smarter to give him a longer leash and give him more opportunities to show what he has to open the preseason. Brady Cook, like, we know he's not a quarterback too. We saw him start 4 games last year. It's not pretty. We know that he's not a QB2 in the league. I understand wanting to get a look at Bailey Zappi because Zappi has been okay at points in his career. Like, is he able to rise to the occasion and be an okay backup for you? We saw real quickly that that's probably not the case with the 2 interceptions, albeit one of them came off an Arian Smith drop, although the pick 6 was completely inexcusable to begin his day. So I don't think Zappi's going to be the QB2. We know it's not going to be Cook. The Jets hope that Klubnik can rise to the occasion, kind of seal the deal these next 2 preseason games. But if not, I presume that they're going to look to add some veteran, or an Andy Dalton, a Mason Rudolph, someone of that nature on the veteran market who maybe gets cut loose.
Cade Klubnik has this job wrapped up. It's so obvious.
You think they're just going to hand it to him right now? Like,
I do. Because if you're only going to give
you
him
and
7 reps,
man.
It's his job now. Like, he gets every rep in practice. He gets all the reps out there with the 2s. The second that Geno goes down, it's Cade being bumped up. He passed his first opportunity on 1 day's notice, which I thought was impressive.
Sure.
I think it's his job.
I think that they want it to be his job. I think they're doing that to get the best look at him, right? Like, they want to have a lot of points to evaluate him with. And now the fact that he only played 15 plays and had 7 attempts on
that tells
Friday
me it's
night.
his job, because if they weren't sure, you'd let him go out there.
Yeah, but then if that really is their thought process, I question how they got there, right? Because, I mean, there's the only training camp practice I've been to, but just following along, hearing what other reporters have to say, it's been up and down for Cade Klubnik at training camp. Like, the flashes have popped. There's no doubt about it. That's the type of QB he is. When he makes big plays, they're going to get note and respect from everyone who sees it. But, like, the consistency hasn't been there for him throughout practice. I thought he looked good to open the preseason, but 15 plays and 7 attempts certainly isn't enough for me to evaluate him.
It's not enough. I'm just telling you, they have already basically determined Cade Klubnik is going to be their backup quarterback. Like,
I have questions about that process if that is the case, and the way they came to it is through training camp and those level of reps, because it's not like he's even has taken training camp by storm and, you know, been the star day in and day out. I mean, you could be right, but I question that process as to how are they doing that because they traded up for him and used a 4th round pick there. And it's just, the good news is that, I mean, injuries could happen at any point throughout the summer, any point throughout the season. Look at Aaron Rodgers, what happened back in 2023. The good news, though, is Geno hasn't been someone who historically gets injured, has an ankle sprain, and misses 4 or 5 games at a time. So that's the good news. But hey, man, I have my questions and my qualms if that's the process. My word to Aaron Glenn, though, is you better have Cade Klubnik ready to be 1 play away from starting if that's how you get there, because, I mean, that's really what a backup quarterback is in the NFL nowadays.
I don't necessarily love the process either, because I wanted Cade Klubnik to play the entire first half the other night. I'm just telling you, there's just no way it's going to be Bailey Zappi or Brady Cook. Maybe they could add someone off another roster, but even if you do that, right? Oh, Andy Dalton gets cut at the end of August here. Andy Dalton's not going to be ready to be your backup quarterback in time.
He doesn't need those training camp reps, though, Jake. Like, he's been in the league forever.
He still needs to learn the offense, even if it's
he played under Reich.
Right, but it's not just like, oh, he's a Jet and boom, he's ready to go. Like, Trevor Siemian had experience with Nate Hackett a couple of years ago, but it still took Siemian a couple games to be the backup
that
quarterback.
Was an in-season addition, though. But
that's what Andy Dalton would be if you signed him in late August.
You'd have that week to really nail down the system following the preseason.
Also, Frank Reich doesn't use a ton of motion, everyone says. Well, he's used a ton of motion this summer, so they are obviously updating some principles of his offense. So it's not the exact same thing that Dalton ran in Carolina.
And it's been modernized, which is promising, right? I think the Sadiq pick tells us that, maybe shifting more to 12 personnel when Sadiq is fully healthy and ready to go on the field. But to be honest, I don't have my concerns with like a veteran, particularly like Dalton, coming in and adapting.
I'd rather
right now,
Klubnik be the backup for week 1 at this point than Andy Dalton. Like, if you're going to add someone, start adding them now so they could actually compete for the backup. But I think they're
well, you're not going to trade for him.
Maybe you could. You trade a 7th round pick.
We'll see what they do. But just
so
like,
do you think Cade Klubnik's their backup week 1?
At this point, probably yes. I don't know if he balls out these final 2 preseason games, I'll probably come around on it.
I think he's only playing in 1 more preseason game too, Connor.
Oh, damn, you're really going all in on this.
I don't think he's going to play in the final preseason game because God forbid he gets hurt. Then you're down to Zappy or you're down to Brady Cook. If you remember last year, Justin Fields didn't play in the last preseason game, and I think Tyrod was hurt at the time, so he didn't either. I think we're only going to see Klubnik for 1 more game this Saturday or this Friday night against the Steelers, which I don't agree with, by the way. I want Klubnik to get as many reps as possible. I'm just telling you, I think this competition is a sham, and it's already been determined he's their backup.
It's a deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.